Hello, everybody. Just a couple of extra seconds on our starting screen just because the ads took a little too long to start up. We are back to Minecraft today. It's been a couple of weeks. We had a variety day last week on this time slot. I don't know if I fully remember where we were at here. But it looks like we have a structure. Ah, yes. Our little coastline over here. We even got a lodestone in the ground right here. Let me see. It looks like we did start up a farm. We haven't gotten the details of it, but we are at least beginning to grow wheat. Very helpful. Some bamboo going. Let me see what we've managed to gather up. Not much in the way of combat. Decent amount in the way of tools. Lots of iron coming in. I do believe where we left off last time, now that I think about it, was I wanted to find some potatoes. And for that, we needed the lodestone, and we need to find a village. Because just hugging the land as we explore the waters with a boat is only going to get us so far for so long. Without getting lost, at least. Hey, Crypt, welcome in. If I also die by falling into my iron farm, you will not only laugh, but will finally not feel alone as you died to your iron farm in both your hardcore series on stream. That is incredible. Yeah, that's fantastic. I don't know. I So I don't know if we're doing an iron farm in the traditional sense here, because I keep looking them up and I keep trying to build them, and I can't seem to wrap my head around, like, the numbers of it, the spacing and everything, and I feel like it's not going to be a whole ton of fun to watch me sit here and go back and forth between a reference YouTube video and my stream to see me try to work out the design. I don't know. I have to come up with a plan for that, because, you know, that excuse is going to be a significant barrier for making any substantial progress on new stuff that I'm not familiar with. I think the answer might just be a schematic mod and set things up off stream to just recreate. But I don't want to do that. I kind of want to bring viewers through the creative process to this, and kind of work out the details of how these things are working. So, I don't know. Stuff to think about. But I would also be very much getting ahead of myself, because I don't think I've had a hardcore world last long enough for me to even start building an iron farm. The first one you accidentally fell into and punched a golem trying to get out. Whoops. And the second one just casually walked off the edge and splatted. I am genuinely surprised, Crypt. I really thought that the answer there was going to be you fell into a water stream and ended up in the lava. Because that seems like the most obvious and quickest way to die. Well, I guess the golem is the quickest way to die, but... Food. On the subject of how I plan to run my streams, I think this will be the last hardcore world. When this resets, I think the next one I start up will just be standard hard mode. Because I'm not progressing very far at this rate. And I mean, unless this one decides to last a really long time, then I'll think about doing something different. But, I've been on this is world number 4, and they all just kind of started getting reset one stream after another. So if I want this series to remain interesting in any way whatsoever, or, well, my Minecraft playthroughs, I guess it's a different series at that point, then I have to have something that lasts a little bit. I did not bring a bed with me, and that's going to turn out to be a mistake. Let's see, what do we got over here? We're looking for some sheep. Of course, you gotta be extra. That said, you're very right, streamer no. Really approach the world differently in single player versus an SMP. Always thought you'd hate hardcore because you hate losing save files, but there's something weirdly calming about choosing to go into it with one life to live, at least to you, even with the terror-inducing moments. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to read out loud, and I don't always read out loud and process what I'm reading at the same time. Yeah, there is something interesting to that, and I think if I were on my own, I would be willing to take my time more and be more careful. But at the same time, there's things can get very boring very quickly, and I don't have a whole lot outside of the gameplay that I've got going on with my streams. Um, if I'm in a really slow part of gameplay where, I'm just sitting there waiting for night to pass so I don't die from something stupid. But we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. I will say I do want to get more consistent about reading chat messages out loud or not. I don't think it's necessary now that I actually have chat appearing on screen. But it can still feel weird, especially if I missed a message for a period of time. And, 5 minutes later, suddenly I'm responding to a message without acknowledging what the message actually says in any way. It's hard to follow continuity on that. So we have our potatoes. We can head back. Where's the sun? I don't want to steal their beds. That's rude. But I don't see any sheep. We'll be fine. totally be fine, right? We'll be fine. Carrots? Carrots? No carrots. Oh well. Thank you, Crypt. It's just bad luck. Forgot how much swamp was just right next to me. I love a good pond. It's getting dark. I don't know about this. This might have been a bad idea. Ah! Feels like you have to be a parkour expert to navigate a swamp quickly. Spied her. Really? Just right here? Okay. There's no bed in that house. No bed in that house either. There we go. We'll just stay the night. We don't have to take anybody's bed. Where's your farm? Need some carrots. Get... Is this going to be a village that has no farm? There's got to be a farm here somewhere, right? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I do not know if a farm spawns in every village. Or is at least supposed to spawn in every village. Of course, we know there's plenty of structures that spawn without mandatory features, just by virtue of the fact that things can intersect with each other and just completely throw off the construction. I don't think there's a farm. I think I've been down there already. Oh well. Alright, we're back. It's time for potatoes. It really was not that important to get potatoes. I forgot I had so much bread on me. Alright, so what do we need next? Got a couple of smelters set up. Could certainly use some ores. So I think I was working at getting down back to bedrock, wasn't I? Getting my own controls. Got those in there. These are gonna go over here. Yeah. Maybe the seed should go over there too. But the saplings stay on this side. Paper. This one? No, this one. No, other one. There's some sense of planning here, I promise. It doesn't make any sense, but it's there. Why did I have shears on me? What was I going to use those for? And torches are going to be here. Alright, let's see where we left off here. Okay, we have not made it down to bedrock yet. And I am just noticing I forgot to turn shaders on. There we go. There's the screaming computer fans we know and love. It's 3 between each torch going diagonally when we do these staircases. Yeah, so I tried to make a commitment last stream in this world that we don't use any of the debug features. So no chunk borders, no F3. And see how that goes for us here. It's going to force me to use lodestones more often. Not that I was particularly making excessive use of F3 to find coordinates in the first place, but now it's not an option. Yeah, there's no way this would have been practical if they still required a netherite ingot. That was... I'm so glad they changed that. It's super convenient how they don't cost your firstborn and half your livestock in order to craft. Thank you for that, Crypt. Nope, not there. Not there either. You know, what I probably could do is go take a look at that treasure map that I was hanging on to. Be a nice, quick, and easy way to find some diamonds, probably. Or loads of iron. We're not doing too terribly on the iron front. We've got a few blocks of iron. Certainly not making any flashy redstone with what we've got, but it's not nothing. Of course, it'll go much faster if I keep rebuilding pickaxes with it. What monsters nearby? Where are there monsters nearby? No monsters here. The goal here isn't actually to get to bedrock. The goal here is to find a decent cave system. I think there's a grand total of 2 times I've ever done this just diagonal build, or dig down, that I have not run into some kind of massive cave system. I would like to check F3 to see how far we are from making that 3, but we made a commitment. We're going to pretend like we're trying to stick to it. Hey, we found bedrock. That's 3. Figures. Go up a couple levels, let's say to right here. Just see what happens if we dig straight. This setting in complementary shaders has been such a game changer. Let me see if we can find it. It's not in here. Couldn't be in materials, right? I cannot remember. I went through and I navigated these settings like one by one. I have no idea where anything is. But just the fact that I could turn down how much light I get out of the light source in my offhand. So it's not as if I have the torch placed on the wall. I can actually see it's getting dark. I need to put a torch down. But I'm still not going completely blind through here. I feel like I see most people that use complementary shaders as just like a plug and play. You don't do any configuring. It's just, yep, you turn them on and everything's pretty. And there's just such a nice look that you can get out of them that's more than just the defaults. So many settings to play with. I'm not having a whole ton of luck here finding a cave system. Really like Complementary Unbound for how they handle moonlight, sunrise, and sunset. Both sets just really pretty. And that's the thing, too, is I've got a combination of both. So like for Unbound, I use features like the glowing ores, which I find very helpful. Um, I constantly feel like I'm missing that kind of stuff. But then there's some stuff from Reimagined that I really, really depend on. Some of the Unbound features, it feels like it takes the immersion out of it. It feels like some of those textures just aren't in the spirit of Minecraft. Um, that's just a me nitpicky type of thing. Let me see if it's nighttime out here. So, like, the fact that I can keep the square moon, I really appreciate, but still get all the detail from the stars. The fact that I've got the square clouds. Um, the square moon and the square clouds, you get those in Reimagined, but Unbound, it makes them a little more realistic. You get a round moon, you get a round sun, you get realistic looking clouds. And the water as well. Um, the Unbound water is completely see-through. You've got this beautiful crystal clear water that you'll see in like these tropical island areas where there's very, very little water movement, the way that things are landlocked. Um, but it's impossible to spot in a cave, so I'm finding myself running into water that I don't even see. So I can pull the reimagined water. I can change the setting to be the reimagined water, so I still have this texture on top. So when I've got water in a cave, I can actually see it. You first download it and you flick the switch between Reimagined and Unbound, and you don't even realize that it's all still the same shaders. It's just one of them is one configuration, the other is the other. And you can easily mix and match. I remember seeing somebody was showing off another shader pack. I don't remember what it was called. It's the other big one that a lot of people use. Photon, I think it was. And I looked at it and I thought that's beautiful. That's so much less washed out than I've seen with complementary. You've got more detail. It doesn't feel like the shadows are as overpowering. And then I just sat here and played with complementary, and it's like, yeah, that's just settings. That's just configurations. You can change all of that. All right, let's go find some treasure. Favorite shaders are the Musk Rose shaders. I haven't heard of them. Super nice with those because you can turn off the round moon too, turn on Minecraft Cloud Gen, etc. But then they're super storybooky with how they handle the light and stuff too. Just so pretty. Never bothered with shaders until last year, and wish gotten into them way before then. Yeah, and the feature that complementary has that I like, and you can see it if I just get too close to these textures. And this one I actually remember how to find. I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to have a trouble finding it. Um, so yeah, we've got generated normals, which kind of gives this textured look to things. And it's not actually like a 3D effect. All it is if you look closely at, here we go, the individual pixels here, you can see that there's a higher definition that puts a bit of an outline between pixels of different shades. It gives it that 3D effect. So we can turn that off for a moment just to kind of show the difference to that. It's just going to take a second to regenerate. Yeah, so we still have some higher definition, and that's coming from the other one that I'll show in a second. But now, those higher definition pixels aren't shading between two different colors, and so you don't get that 3D texture anymore. The other one being these coded textures, and it describes it as dusty details to the textures, which I have them both cranked up to 150. I felt like that was a good intensity on those. Yeah, so now we can see that the high definition pixels, a lot of that detail is removed, which also is showing off that kind of shading from the other one. When two different color pixels connect with each other, that gives it the 3D effect. But the two of them together, it just, I don't know, it's just this really, really nice look to me. Oop, that's the wrong button. So it feels like high definition Minecraft without pulling too far away from that pixeled, blocky look and feel that is just, that's part of what makes Minecraft Minecraft. At least for me, anyway. So let's see if we can find where this treasure map goes to. I'm in the bottom right. And that's the thing is when I first started playing, like long ago, back when I was in college, and I started playing with these types of texture mods and texture packs. Of course, you know, every one of us has tried out one of the HD textures. And then we look at the faces on the sheep and we think, what on earth have we done to ourselves? Um, but yeah, like the high definition dirt, the high definition um cactus, like all of it, it stops feeling like Minecraft. It something that I really appreciate because I can get visually overstimulated relatively easily. It can take me quite a bit of time to get used to what I'm looking at. Um, when you have these super high definition textures, high polygon models, uh, you know, it's part of what helps me appreciate cartoons more than I tend to appreciate live action in a lot of contexts. But, you know, this kind of simplicity, it makes things accessible. It's I feel like it's necessary in a sandbox type game that you want more simplified textures, more simplified shapes, because the world is constantly changing around you. You don't get familiar with things. You're not looking at the familiar where you already know what you're navigating. And so it can be a lot to take in. So if you have this simplicity to it and you're working with this simplicity, you can make these incredible things, and it's a lot easier to work out what you're looking at when you're looking at something brand new. Should have brought an axe with me. Okay, we're going that way. I once again did not bring a bed with me. Oh, I'm hearing some thunder outside. Really don't like to change the spirit of the game too much. Oh, oven screaming at you that your lunch is done. Yep, go take care of your lunch. Very important. I'm assuming you mean a timer, but that my brain just immediately went to, oh no, Crip's house is burning down. Alright, let's see if we can find it. No coordinates means I can't immediately identify where the chest is going to be, so I have to dig for it. And that's the excuse I'm sticking with, and definitely not the fact that I cannot work out how people actually just find these from coordinates. I know how to play Minecraft. There'll be treasure in these sands somewhere. Ah! Gotcha! The downside of the way I have the water configured is it's a lot less transparent than vanilla Minecraft. So, like, I could easily miss shipwrecks. I believe that's the shipwreck that I found. That is the shipwreck I found the map from. So I totally could have just missed this by not turning the shaders off. Welcome back, Crypt. dark down here. I found potatoes. Oh, it's too dark. I'm okay. Grab these two. Oh. So we did not find diamonds. A little bit, but we'll be alright. Probably. Where'd you go? There you are. Ow. Rude. Don't need this anymore. Okay, we've got some more lapis, we've got some more iron. I have not done lanterns yet. Make some hay bales. Oh. Did not do the redstone blocks either. sand's definitely going to come in handy. I don't think this is what I'm looking for. It's not. Oh. Apparently I had plenty of trims already. Food. Mob drops. Bottle of enchanting will go in tools. Got a block of iron in there. TNT will go in combat stuff. Maybe put that away for the moment. There we go. That's our lighting. There's marine crystals. Alright, so what else do I want to work on here? I suppose I could start working out the mud brick stuff for the farm. We need stairs. We gotta fill all that in down there. There we go. Now, I don't think I have enough glass just yet. Oh, nope, I got plenty of glass. There we go. Dirt is there. I definitely don't have enough dirt for this. It's not unusual for me to lose power in a storm, so hopefully this doesn't affect stream. But I might end up cutting out at some point. There's the ad notification. I was waiting on that. So I'm going to get back into the dome, and we're going to pause for a bit to let the ad run. Good opportunity to take a break. So I'll see you in a bit. And we're back. This is probably way more mud than I actually need. It does seem a little odd to me that they would have regular dirt under the water that you turn into mud with a bottle of water. It just seems like maybe that should have been mud in the first place. Up, up. Lost my shovel. Lost my other shovel. See, maybe this is enough. It's a decent amount. Grab 3 more just to get the 2 stacks. One, 2, 3. And then, of course, we've got these right here, which is going to throw that number off completely. I would have been so upset if that was 3 more. I don't have nearly as much wheat as I thought I did. Alright, start in the middle here. If only there was somewhere I could get more wheat. If only, if only. Like a village or something nearby that just had a ton of wheat. Wouldn't that be so helpful? What are the odds that we can find this village again? I don't want to say slim to none, because that would be honest, and I want to live in denial. think we're in the slim to none universe. Denial has paid off for me this day. There's the first flicker. If the power does go out, I am just going to call it at that point. Have I cleared this village of wheat already? Is that what's happening here? Found some wheat. I wasn't expecting that. I don't think I've ever opened one of those up before. Anything else? Anything else? Anybody else? I think I encountered this village already. I think it... Guys, please. Please. The trapdoors. See, everybody wants to talk about scaffolding being the worst thing ever, and you should never build with it. But then there's trapdoors, which... You know, they can break everything. Okay, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get from that village. I love a good pond. Almost there. The fact that I insist on the patterns when I do this every time. Alright, but that is at least enough. Can get some of that going for the fence posts. Now. Ooh, it got dark fast. Got those going. That's gonna do food for me. I need to find a spot for cows. Because I'm gonna need to get an enchanting setup together. I wish this extended into a much larger cave system than it does. Having this right back here like this, that would have been so nice. Hello, turtle. Alright. I think I need to go back down to the mines for a little bit. Try to get some upgraded tools here. Maybe find a cave. Maybe I should have a shield on me. Probably some armor as well. Who needs it? Who needs armor? And a shovel. We need a shovel. Always need a shovel. What was this? Oh, that's right. I heard one of the ambient noises. Nah, it should be fine. Well, that's a start. Still not having luck finding a cave here, though. Let's try this way. Mm-mm. I'm gonna do something I don't normally do. Well, that's nice. Really? Just one? Okay. Heard that. This is not really getting us anywhere. I'm a little surprised. I've never had this much trouble finding a cave. Not this deep, anyway. Gone quite a bit into this, haven't we? You can travel a lot faster doing it this way. While you're mining it. A lot slower getting back out. I want that back. Try this way again. I hear lava. I see lava. Okay, let's find our way down there. So, is this attached to a cave system is my question. And that answer appears to definitively be no. It is not. I don't think this is getting me anywhere. That should keep me safe, right? Oh, I didn't get very far into this one at all. Hello. Could certainly use this. That is quite a bit of it, too. Yeah, that's not bad. 2 diamond blocks, I'll take it. It's really what we're looking for down here, isn't it? People might be onto something with this whole branch mining thing. Single block height. That's my last pickaxe. No, it's not. Yes, I do want one of these. Another one that's just the one. That's always a disappointment. gold I'll take. And I'm just gonna head back from this. This at least does a couple of things for us to get us started. I should have brought a water bucket with me. I gotta come back down for some of that lava. Because I need obsidian. I don't think I have any. We'll check. We'll find out. We need obsidian for the ability to enchant, as well as the ability to make bad decisions. This is where the lava was, right? Yeah, we'll open this up so we can get here without a trapdoor. Hey, Carrot, welcome in. How are you doing today? Doing well. Managed to not die in my hardcore world just yet. There's still a whole hour and 10 minutes, but, so far, the breaking the streak of resetting the world every week, it's looking pretty good. Sweating for the next hour. We'll see what kind of trouble I get up to. Yes, we need that. We need that. Almost just fell off a mountain. Don't do that, Crypt. It's, not doctor recommended. It's dark. Carrot, I am having the worst time finding carrots. We got some potatoes, which those are very important to me. That's generally my food source. It's baked potatoes. But my vegetable collection is not complete. All the villages are either missing farms or they just have wheat and pumpkins. No, that's not where that goes. Did I take the stone out of the other furnace? No. Oh, yes. Gold block. What was I looking for? This. Six of those. Plenty of those. Six of these. Alright, there's the farms. Let's go grab some lava. I think we're gonna go with the enchanting table before we go with the bad decision-making skills. Seems like the higher priority for obsidian right now. Amazingly enough, we caught it. My mute hotkey doesn't work when I'm already holding down control. I have no idea how that stifled sneeze came across on the microphone, but sorry about that. Alright. Oh, are you playing Peak right now, Crypt? Pandora's Lunchbox is a trap. It's not worth it, Crypt. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Yeah, I suppose at that point it is worth it, because it either, you know, ends the round faster, so you, don't prolong your own suffering, or you actually manage to recover. Alright, we've got diamond. We've got obsidian. This one. Now we need books. I think... Ow. Grab a set of these. I don't have a travel bed, do I? Make it to the lava fields here to all of the chests before the inside of the volcano. You'll be golden. You're that far in. Very nice. You are now at the point where it feels like an absolute tragedy if you lose. I mean, you got this, Crypt. Great job. Fantastic. I believe in you. Positive thoughts only. Well, that's good. It is definitely one of those games where it is a lot more fun when you get a chance to play with other people. Got flint. Got sunset. So I think instead of cow hunting, I'm going to go look for a library. That would have been an easier spot for lava. You guys remember if this village had a library in it? Because I don't. Ad starts in 14 seconds. Hang on. This is not the time to go out exploring. I do love how Twitch will say, hey, the ad is starting in 14 seconds. And then 14 seconds later, nothing. And then 45 seconds later, here's your ad. Alright, if they start up before I get to the break screen, we are just heading back into the dome. There we go. Alright, so we're going to let the ad run, move over to the break screen. Now is the perfect time to, or now's the perfect opportunity to step away, um, grab a beverage, take your bio break, whatever you need to do for self-care, and I will see y'all when the ad is done. Sorry about that, Carrot. I've got a limit on emotes. Did you happen to get any kind of warning or anything, or did it just delete the message? Just deleted? Excellent. Okay. Yeah, because that is mostly just to keep the chat clean for the VODs, the auto mod stuff. So I don't want it to actually try to take any moderation action against anybody. Just remove the message from the queue. But I don't remember why I set that limit on the emotes, but I should really take that off. I think that one's Firebot, actually. Yeah, 10 limit on emojis. We'll take that off. That's not necessary. I don't tend to have any troublemakers in my chat. Welcome back. Well, it's one thing if it's all in good fun. It's another if I get a bunch of random people that come in and just start spamming emojis for the sake of making it impossible to read chat. I've seen it happen. I've been maybe a little nervous about some of that kind of stuff happening on stream without having any moderation, because it's just me. But it hasn't happened at this point, and I think I feel confident enough now that I could deal with things in the moment. Without getting too overwhelmed, that I can open that up and let people put in a bunch of emojis now. I appreciate that, Crypt. I'm going to take you up on that. Yeah, if anybody ends up a mod on my channel, with the expectation that they're here all the time, it's time to start asking about how much you're getting paid. Will very much be, if you happen to be here and happen to be in the mood to help me manage things, then the help is fully appreciated. If you happen to be here and you have the sword, and you are just not feeling up to keeping track of chat that way, that is perfectly okay. So my knee-jerk reaction, Crypt, reading messages out loud, you do think it's neat that we can use payout to gift subs and stuff now. You and Kat were just talking about that the other day, and then Twitch rolled that out, almost like they were listening. My knee-jerk reaction was, I like that feature. I think I want to take advantage of that. And then I kind of started to realize, um, that the way that could easily end up working is that, one person will drop, say, 2,000 bits just to put $20 in the streamer's pocket, and the streamer goes and uses those $20 to buy bits to put some money in another person's pocket. You're not getting $20 paid forward to the next streamer. You're getting $20 minus the overhead that Twitch is taking. So it very much has the potential to compound, so that people who make affiliate and that are here like making money are just taking 100% of the initial contribution and sending it into Twitch's pocket. When really it should be doing more to support creators. So for myself, I'm not enabling it. I know for a fact that I will use it if I do enable it. So I'm going to try to avoid that as much as I can right now, because I think that feels less in the spirit of the support that I'm being provided here, which is, people just want to support content creators. And I don't know that just dropping all of that back into Twitch is really um, the best way to uh, receive that support, in my opinion. Karis is doing self-modding for so long makes it hard to break the habit. Always overlap when others are there. I'm not sure I'm really following what you mean there, Carrot. Overlap, you mean like you and another mod are trying to take the same action at the same time? Or trying to take slightly different actions for the same issue? I don't remember if I can use cobbled deep slate. Yes, I can, for smelters. Yeah, so two of you trying to take the same action at the same time. Well, at least for something like that, because, you know, it's only a one-way command for something like marbles, right? Um, you know, it's not like one of you goes to marbles and the other person running it again is switching you back to Minecraft. But I'm guessing, does that drop an extra notification in Discord? Crypt says, I agree with that for sure. It does have its use cases, though. Things such as paying more regular mods with gift subs so they're not paying you to mod for you and stuff like that. Not something you use all the time either, but would for that kind of thing, if that makes sense. That does make sense. I think, you know, in the long term for something like that, I would want to have a more efficient system set up. So, like, say, maybe I have a personal bank or a business bank account tied to my Twitch so that payouts go into that and then I pay my mods from there. So that way I don't have that same kind of overhead that Twitch takes. Because, like, the bank account at most is going to take, what, 7% for an instant transfer if you're doing something like that. Um, Whereas Twitch, I believe the rate is like 30% taken off for bits purchases, and at the moment I'm only receiving 40% of gift subs. Notifications tied to the command. Yep. No doubt the idea is for Twitch to keep more overall, but one clear advantage is the payout fee is saved. Sam already on the topic. Yeah, and you know, there are benefits to it as well, which is, you know, I can't really say this definitively. This is my impression and not an actual analysis of the legality of how this works. But I believe using your Twitch income for payouts and keeping things within the Twitch infrastructure might save you taxes longer down the run. So if you're not actually interested in using your affiliate status for, you know, money-making purposes, uh, you know, if you make affiliate but then end up pulling back on that because the complexity of running your own business might become overwhelming, then I could see payouts potentially being a way to just simplify that without having to completely restart your account. Hey, Exile, welcome in. Glad to see you. I'm getting distracted by conversations about the Twitch affiliate system and the ability to use the support you receive for more Twitch support rather than getting the payouts. Carrot, that's interesting because if it's not used for before being paid out, it's not actually a payout. Wonder if it might show on total income though. Yeah, I mean, that's the standing question. That's where I'm saying, like, I don't know this definitively. I don't want to say this as if this is actual advice on a way to get around paying taxes if you're not actually making any real money off of Twitch. Um, but I could see that potentially being how it works is that if you just continue to use it within the Twitch infrastructure, you're not actually it doesn't count as making income. Um, but that said, there are things, at least in the US, that they count towards your personal income that, that aren't necessarily intuitive. Like if you have debt forgiven, that counts as income. The negative balance of your debt reducing, even if you didn't actually pay money into it. Yeah, there you go, Carrot. Get your check in. What am I working on? I was going to go looking for a village. I was going to go see if I could find a library. So let me get back to that. Yeah, I mean, if you're paying it with money that you've already paid taxes on, um, then that doesn't count as income. You've already paid taxes on that income. Now you are just distributing it to the debt. Whereas if, um, some states will count student loan forgiveness as an example as debt relief, and you'll have to pay state tax, or as income, and you'll have to pay state tax on that. But other kinds of debt like personal loans, stuff like that, which don't have those kinds of exemptions that, at the federal level, they're not counted as income if they get forgiven. Like if you have a personal loan that's just suddenly forgiven, um, that will count as income, and you do have to pay the taxes back on that. But really, what it comes down to is anything that seems to have some monetary value in it, whether you're getting that monetary value out of it or not, there is a question of how that's counted in terms of filing your own taxes. Um, and you should absolutely consult with a tax professional and not me to answer that question. Don't think there's a library in this one. You guys heard of sheep, right? Yes, sheep. I need carrots. I need to find a carrot. This village didn't seem to have farmland at all, which is unfortunate. Yeah, another interesting thing to it as well is, my current payout is less than the $50, so I'm not actually getting paid from it. But if it hits that $50 mark, if income less than a certain threshold you don't need to pay taxes on. However, your income is not your income from Twitch. Your income is the combined pool of all your income sources. So even though Twitch doesn't have to send me tax paperwork on those $50, I'm still on the hook for it because that $50 is counted towards my income in addition to my full-time job. We'll get a mob farm going at some point, Carrot. That's worst case scenario. We can get the zombie drops from that. Should have brought a boat with me. I got a boat. Ooh, good luck, Crypt. If you're the type that hoards your potions for the final boss fight and then tries to never use them in the final boss fight, and you're applying that to the miscellaneous equipment that you find around the mountain on Peak, um, now is the time to start using all that stuff when a jump looks particularly steep. Especially trying to get somebody else up behind you. Like, that rope is going to be important, especially for those very... Like, if one of you is carrying the bag, the person that's not carrying the bag needs to take the rope and make the long climb, and then give the person with the bag the ability to get up without consuming all their stamina. It's the best strategy that I've come to use when playing multiplayer. Peak is one of those games where I don't do a ton of watching other, like, tryhards play, so I don't know what their real strats are. I just work with what works for me. And then crash out when I die again. Going into this with a pretty solid set of stuff. Excellent. Got airplane food. Very helpful. Thick mints. Very nice. Balloon bundle. The balloon bundle is best to store and not use because it takes a substantial amount of weight off your backpack. Anti-rope, be careful with. I don't know if you've had the experience yet, but you can climb up the top of anti-rope and fall off to your death. It is very easy. It is not intuitive where just going up is going to just suddenly launch you. Careful with that. A chain launcher is absolutely essential in the kiln. You will end up using it once. The energy drink is good, and the fairy lantern. Yeah, don't test the limits of the anti-rope. Make sure you have plenty of extra room to work with on that. Tinkerbell. I will say, Carrot, I don't see a fairy in the fairy lantern. Yeah, it's a pretty decent size. I had to travel quite a ways to find that. Ha! Another village. Hello, cow. So this is the village I was in before. It must be, because I left doors open. All of the doors. Not potatoes. It's a regular-sized lantern. It is made of silver, and it has special properties like healing you while it's lit. It definitely seems to be powered by some kind of fey energy. So I can't say for sure that no fairies were harmed in the making of this lantern. All I can say is that there is not a living one inside of the lantern that you can visibly see. Did I miss any buildings? Yeah, finding that first village with all of the hay in it is such a necessity when you're not happy with the biome you spawn in hardcore. I don't think any of these are libraries. On to the next one. Minecraft, there's stars in the sky. Yeah, the hay bales I'm okay with taking. Like the villagers are capable of reproducing that. I'm out here trying to survive, and it's not that big a deal. They'll be okay. I will not steal their beds. Well, that's convenient. Yes, I very much remember that. It is so much better navigating swamps now that they've fixed that. See, I don't have to feel bad about stealing their hay bales because I'm providing them a service that they can't provide themselves, which is opening these trap doors so that they can get out. If anything, they're underpaying me because they could get trapped in those trap doors forever. But you can reproduce those hay bales pretty easily. Then they're getting attacked by zombies and stuff. I'm saving their lives. I'm a hero. Imagine if they'd worked that into the Minecraft movie. Oh, that is neat looking over there. That is less neat looking. That, no, 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 goodbye. Leaving. Leaving. I'm not here. Crypt, I found the tropics biome. Thank you. I'm glad you can appreciate that one. Where's my boat? I need my boat. Ow. Rude. Carrots! That was the best shipwreck find I've ever had. I know that sounds like a joke, but there is nothing so frustrating like playing bingo, Minecraft bingo, and you need a carrot on a stick, and you cannot find a carrot. And when you're playing bingo, where a streamer has CCI enabled, um, in a boat, moving in the water is the safest place you can possibly be. So your shipwreck is your best bet of finding a carrot and being able to hold on to that carrot long enough to turn it into a carrot on a stick. And I have not found a single carrot in a shipwreck playing Minecraft bingo. Tons of shipwrecks. Not a single one had a carrot. Now all of them are going to have carrots. We're going, we're going, we're going. I'm okay. I'm going to turn shaders off for this, because that's going to get me into trouble. I can't see a thing. There's the door I was looking for. I have never had this much trouble finding books. I just pushed M to open up a map. I have never played a Minecraft game that had a map. It's all this satisfactory is what it is. I got to join Winderine and the Squiddly Pid yesterday for their first time playing Satisfactory. The first time I've done a collab stream. And I'm glad it was them because I was super nervous off the bat. Well, that was a good random guess. Apparently it's nighttime. Imagine if I'd left my lodestone compass behind. It's here. We have it. Nope. I know better than that. Yeah, it does. I have no coords. I'm not using any of the debug tools, so I have no idea how to get back without it. I don't know if this method is going to work. Just to have all the vegetables. That's literally it. I don't have beetroot either. And I need to find some beetroot seeds somewhere. But I'm used to not having beetroot right away. It was bothering me that I didn't have any carrots. I had potatoes before I had carrots. No worries, Carrot. Are you on mobile right now? Are you telling me that your occasional typing or typos that look like me just typing regularly is you trying to type on mobile? Pretty sure you've seen some of my mobile messages. We'll just have random words thrown in there. Trying to follow the train of thought, and then there's just absolutely no spaghetti. The elimination of the actual physical keyboard with tactile edges to all of your buttons was the worst idea we've ever had for mobile technology. Those little slide-out keyboards that we used to have, the actual improvement on the, I don't remember what it was called, but the when you have the 3 to 4 letters per number and you have to just keep hitting the same number, that slide-out keyboard was a huge improvement. And my favorite phone that I have ever had had that slide-out keyboard, and I miss it so much. And it's just, you can't get it anymore. It just does not exist unless you're looking at a phone with, like, a 10-year-old processor that can't even open a browser. Yeah, same. And honestly, the reason that I don't use the phone is just because the interface feels like it's becoming less and less friendly. I've complained enough about the missing carrots that I'm going to get nothing but carrots out of these ship. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna find nothing but carrots in these shipwrecks now. Ah, use your phone for less and less these days. Get that one. Honestly, same. If they could give you a smartphone that had an actual slide-out keyboard instead of the touchscreen, absolutely. Supposed to be convenient, but most of the time it's quicker. It is always quicker on PC. The convenience of it is just the fact that you can take it with you. You aren't hauling an entire suitcase worth of stuff. That is the entire difference there. The bigger screen, the um, more real estate for the human input devices, your keyboard and mouse, all of that just makes the process so much easier, but it's a lot to carry around. How bad of an idea do you think that would be? How not worth it do you think that would be? That's the question, and I think it would be very not worth it. All right, y'all, this is it. This is the one, right? This is where we're gonna get all the books. Every website or service has an app that's badly written, doesn't work, all that jazz. Yeah, and that, I feel like most of my poor experience with website interfaces lately, and mobile is absolutely part of it, but I don't feel like it's exclusive to mobile. I think that's just prioritizing marketing and profits over the actual content of the web page. Because the web page can't exist unless you can make money off of it. That's kind of where we're at in the world right now. Um, but the ability to load things is all bottlenecked by having so many dynamic assets to make the ads as flashy as possible to get your attention. 'Em. I mean, that's maybe oversimplified of a reason for it. But I do think that does play heavily into it. I think the experience would be substantially better if it wasn't so poisoned by the need for marketing. I found what we're looking for. "27 books. Almost like most people have some degree of ADHD or something, and market research has shown some pizzazz and proverbial jazz hands will draw people's attention immediately, which is why it feels like so many ads are driven towards toddlers." And I don't necessarily agree with the assessment that it's the result of having some form of ADD or ADHD. I think that's just natural base instinct. I think moving things are bound to get our attention. Um, the distractibility of moving things, there's a survival purpose to that, which is if you're out in the wild, you have to know what is moving in the corner of your eye. You have to look at it, identify it, pick out whether or not it's a danger. Because if you don't, it's gonna come up on you, and it could very well be something that is gonna eat you. Um, so that is base instinct. Is just how attention grabbing basic motion is going to be, and it's really just taking advantage of that. So I don't think it's strictly necessary to like capture I don't think it's strictly about everybody seems to have some form of ADHD at this point. I think it's just the way the human mind works. I mean, that's why I think we get so frustrated about things that seem just kind of gimmicky or anything like that, is it feels kind of cheap. It's like, yeah, everybody is affected by this. That's just the natural way that humans work. And when you take the substance out of it and just focus on, the low-hanging fruit, and then that becomes the dominant thing so that the stuff with substance just doesn't get attention anymore. But I mean, marketing is all about psychology, the deceptive psychology. It's all about those gotcha moments because nobody wants ads anymore. The only way that somebody's going to click on your ad is if you can appeal to some baser instinct rather than actually telling them interesting and meaningful stuff about an actual decent product that you're providing. So we've got 10 minutes till end time, so I am going to head home at this point so I can start wrapping up. I've been in a lot of circles that talk about anti-capitalism. Um, and I think oftentimes we get caught up on that, like it was a terrible idea in the first place, like it's the worst thing that could ever happen, and it's the actual root of all of our problems. And I don't know that I'm too invested in that kind of rhetoric around it. I don't think that's necessarily true. Um, because I feel like it's dismissive of the fact that, any type of broad generalized system is going to have its limitations on the benefit that it can provide. And the real improvement that we get is when we have the ability to recognize when we're no longer benefiting as much from something as we needed to in the moment that we started it, and are able to move on and evolve to what's next. And part of that, I feel like, is just, that kind of change is scary. The capitalist system that we've got, um, a lot of people depend on it. It's definitely far from perfect. And personally, I do feel like it has run its course and we need better, but it is so easy to try to come up with something that's better that is just doesn't have what's needed to fulfill the needs of everybody that depends on the current system. It is very scary to try to be the one to say, here's the new system, let's use this instead, and then watch as disaster unfolds because of one missed detail. Ah, congratulations, Crypt. It's much the same when it comes to the audio side of ads too. The buzzwords are buzzwords for a reason. The way that you say things, the way the script is ready. There are certain ways to do it because it draws the attention and makes the consumer say, "I need this thing." Yeah, and I mean, it plays on trends, right? There's also something to be said about the idea of tribalism, and we will latch on to things just because, we don't necessarily understand what it is about them, but we know that the people around us, the people whose approval we seek, they're interested in this as well. So I don't know what this buzzword means, but I know I've heard it from this person. I know I've heard it about things that this person uses, and this person is somebody whose approval I very much am emotionally invested in, and so you kind of fall into a trap where you're trying to explore these things on your own without understanding them, and you really don't have the tools needed to make the best decisions on that type of thing. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. So I took a college level biology course about a year or two ago. Um, and one of the discussion points that we had that I found particularly interesting was the one of carrying capacity. And it's the idea in this ecosystem where it has the resources to support up to a certain population level. Um, so, like the availability of food, um, as, basically as the main contributor, the availability of basic needs, food, water, the ability to find shelter, safety. The more abundant those resources are, the more a population can thrive, the bigger the population gets. And then as the population starts to exceed that carrying capacity, those resources will start to dwindle and the population will start to dwindle. Um, Ecosystems that have limited carrying capacity that can be reduced by overpopulation, that's where predators come into play. They become very significant to the maintenance of that ecosystem because they keep the population from getting so out of control that it removes the resources for other organisms that play essential roles in that ecosystem. So it allows the carrying capacity to stabilize, it allows the populations to stabilize. So, and what I found myself thinking about this is a lot of the infrastructure that we have developed for ourselves, stuff like roads, agriculture, this is all just increasing our carrying capacity as a species for a much broader ecosystem. Um, we might think of an ecosystem as like a biome, like this little piece of taiga here is going to have its unique life, but human life has spread out to basically every biome that we can find on the planet. So our ecosystem, the level of carrying capacity that we depend on is going to be global. Um, and all of these things that we've established for ourselves, all these systems that we've put into place, all this infrastructure, this has all been significant contributors to our current carrying capacity, and it has its limits. And, we've encountered those limits before. We've seen them, we've reached those limits, we've seen them, resources become exhausted, and we've had to make a change. And that will happen again. We will hit a point where we have to make a change to improve our carrying capacity, or we will potentially face extinction, or at least a dramatic reduction in population. And I mean, personally, I find it to be a bit of a scary thought too, because There is no guidebook on what's the correct way to approach that. How do we best evolve? And there are so many directions that we could go into. It's a serious conversation, and all you can think of is the Lion King's circle of life. Yep, there it is. But yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing that, on one hand it makes me nervous, but on another hand, it kind of makes me feel optimistic because it's a recognizable pattern, one that we've had repeated in history before, and we've had some scary moments in history, but ultimately we have moved forward from where we started, and we do have a tendency to move forward as we go along. We'll certainly have our rough periods. I think the scary part of it is knowing that the options are we either move forward or we face extinction, and it's not a given that we won't have the latter. But the odds seem to work well for us overall, at least so far. Alright, it is 4:30. Hopefully we are almost back home. It's quite a note to come to an end of stream on. And here we are, just in time for night. I'm going to snooze that ad. And we're going to use this last 5 minutes to wrap up. So thank you all for being here with me. Hope you all didn't mind my ramblings a little too much. Switch over to the ending screen, and we're going to find somebody to raid. Let's see, who do we have online? I think I'm going to raid somebody that I haven't really had a chance to watch too much, and that's Carrots 1968. Carrots is currently in... I was about to assume, let me actually see. The Day Dallas experiment. Okay. Um, but yeah, I know Carrots is somebody I've seen around the community here and there, but also as, of course, uh, one of the members of Crypt's new Guardians of the Pale server. So I'll go ahead and initiate that raid. And there's our raid out call. So thank y'all for being here. I will be back in the Satisfactory tomorrow. Next weekend there will be no streams. I am attending a wedding for a real life friend. I will be off that Monday, so I am considering maybe doing some kind of bonus stream on that Monday. As well as I'm currently expecting to be participate in another collaborative stream with Winderine and the Squiddly Pid for Friday evening Satisfactory. So until next time, thanks again for being here, and I will see y'all later.